What is going on? My name is Daniel and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going over 5 tips and tricks for event photography with the EOS R. So obviously there's not many events going on right now, but in the future there will be. So first up on the list is turning off the beam of death right. All you have to do is go into the purple AF menu under number 4 and it's the second in the middle and it is AF assist beam. Turn that off because otherwise you're going to be shooting a red beam into people's faces throughout the entire event and they're probably not going to like that very much. Not to mention it really doesn't help all that much with focusing. Number 2 deals with only having one card slot inside the EOS R. It's always horrifying to think of what would happen if you lost everything on your card, and to mitigate this, I go through and I back up everything on my phone. So if I had a better phone, I would have it instantly drop all the raw files into my phone, but I don't, so I can't do that. So I just upload them little by little. Another way to mitigate that is to have 2 or 3 cards that you pop in there throughout the night, so that if you lose one of them, at least you only lose 1/3 of your event rather than the entire event. Next up is bringing a flash and then making sure that it's turned on and working. All you have to do is go into your AF and then there's turn on the flash, external flash. That might be why it's not firing. Or as well, it can have some really hard times in extreme low light. This means that you're going to want to turn off the exposure simulation to make it more like a DSLR, and that's going to be under the red camera, number 3, exposure simulation disable. And that's going to allow your camera to keep the ISO for it way up so that it can see everything, and then when it takes the picture, it will actually use whatever ISO you have it set to. Bringing us to our next point, with the ISO, you can usually bump it up past 32 in the range of 64, and that will still take wonderful photos. This has some really good range with how high it is, and the darker it is, the more grainy people expect it to be, especially if you're not using a flash. As well, speaking of the flash, I always bring a second pair of batteries just because the flash just isn't going to fire as fast as you want throughout the night as it continues to drain those batteries, so popping in a new fresh set about halfway is going to definitely increase the performance on that flash. As well, make sure you put a diffuser of some type on the top of the flash so that you get nice softer light rather than the really harsh light. And the last tip is pretty standard across most DSLRs and mirrorless cameras. Use a wider angle lens. This one is a 17-40 and that will allow you to shoot at a lower shutter speed because the shake isn't as noticeable, whereas if you were all focused in, there would be a lot of blur from longer shutter speed. So it allows you to drop it down to maybe in the range of 16, especially if you have image stabilization in your lens. You're going to be able to shoot a lot slower, which is really good. The only problem is sometimes at these parties or whatever, people are bouncing around, moving around, especially when people start getting drunk. So this is more of something to use if you're taking pictures up against a wall or something where they have like flags behind them, or somewhere where they're all eating and not really like bouncing around and moving. So my name is Daniel. On this channel we go over everything mirrorless Canon, specifically the EOS R. Thank you for watching and have a great day.